me, pal.
Never grow old, Michael.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Showtime.
Springs first blood. Springs first blood. Springs first blood. Springs first blood. Springs first blood.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sinister Scripts Podcast, where we talk about all the movies you know and love, and perhaps some maybe you never heard of before. I'm your co-host, David, and always with me.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. How are y'all doing tonight?
Oh, we're cracking some beers, having some fun tonight, watching a shit game of Georgia and Kentucky for right now, but
It's better than Florida game. That's okay.
that's true. And so tonight, in keeping up with our September theme of possession/religion, we're doing the 2023 film Nefarious.
That's right. This is what is, according to Wikipedia, an independent Christian horror thriller film based on Steve Dease's 2016 novel, A Nefarious Plot. And there's been a lot of I guess I'm just gonna say hate. It's been kind of polarizing because there's a lot of people who in the horror community don't really like this because they think it's like propaganda. And, I try to separate the political or religious undertones that a movie may have and just enjoy the movie for what it is.
I went in watching this not even knowing that.
Right.
And I didn't even think that. I was like, this is just a really fucking fun movie to watch.
Right. Exactly. I thought the same thing. I thought that, I hadn't heard of it, and I actually I'll give a shout out to Cinema Society Saturday. It's a group that we've joined on TikTok where we get together on Discogs, and every week we hand out a theme, and then we are paired up with another horror content creator, and then we're given a movie based on that theme. And the theme that week was religious horror. I was given Nefarious, not knowing anything of it, watched it, and then I was like, David, you need to check this movie out.
And I did.
And that's kind of where we are. And I thought the same thing is I didn't hear much about it, probably because the budget was $1 million.
Yeah.
And it made $5 million in the box office.
I mean, I had never even heard of this movie.
Right. But it came out last year.
Last year, yeah.
So let's get into the plot. We'll start talking about it a little bit. This movie, there's not a whole lot to really break down in the sense of where it takes place, because it pretty much takes place in one room with two people talking.
Yeah, for almost the entirety of the movie.
Right. So, and I like those types of movies because if you're going to accomplish that, your dialogue, your banter has to be dialed in.
If done right, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
This movie did.
Because you can't rely on camera tricks or beautiful scenery or, action or kills or anything like that.
Because it's just basically two people talking for 98% of this movie.
Exactly. So basically the plot starts out with, we're at a state penitentiary where the film takes place, and we have a psychiatrist, which is Dr. James Martin, and he arrives at the penitentiary to evaluate a serial killer named Edward Wayne Brady, who is a death row inmate, and he is awaiting his execution. The warden warns Dr. Martin, who has just replaced Dr. Fisher, who had committed suicide after interviewing the inmate. So
Which is the beginning of the movie.
The beginning, you kind of see this guy packing up his stuff, and this picture in his office keeps
tilting,
shifting, so it's not level.
Yeah.
And then it shows him exit the room, and then it shows the window, and you see a body fly by. So you come to find out that this is that was the psychiatrist who committed suicide after interviewing Edward Wayne Brady. And now Dr. James Martin is sent there to complete the investigation or the interview with him.
And I love that they gave him a proper serial killer name, which is just 3 first names.
Exactly. It was perfect. Yeah. I mean, I know I mentioned it earlier. I did think it was funny that all I can think of is Wayne Brady from fucking Chappelle's show. Is Wayne Brady going to have to choke a bitch? Say hi, Dave. Hi, Dave.
Bitches, say hi to Dave. Hi, Dave. Good evening, bitches.
So we have him interviewing this inmate, Edward Wayne Brady, and he warns him that Edward is an expert manipulator and that he will try to get inside your head.
Yeah.
Edward is going to be put to death by electrocution right?
Yeah, it's electrocution.
He chose electrocution, and his task is basically to determine if he's legally sane to be executed.
Actually pull the trigger.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
So, or if he's mentally ill. If he's mentally ill or incompetent, then he's gonna probably go to like a nut house.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And what was his body count again? Did they say it was like 11?
Something like that
12?
you know of.
Yeah, that you know of. Yeah, drops that little line.
Yeah. So the warden is basically tells him like, I hope you'll disagree with Dr. Fisher, because Dr. Fisher was ready to say that he was insane.
Yeah.
And obviously the warden wants to kill this guy.
Yeah, he wants him dead.
So, which I mean, probably with like high profile.
He's a serial killer. Of course you want him dead.
Right.
Justice for the families and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Exactly. So in the first discussion that they have, Edward says that he gives details and various aspects of Dr. Martin's personal and professional life. And he tells him that he's a demon named Nefarious, Nefariamus.
Mysteria,
Yeah, which will answer to Nefarious, and he's inhabiting Edward's body. And I thought that the opening scene was so good. Like, I'm gonna preface this, and I know you'll agree with me. Like, Sean Patrick Flannery is a masterclass in a split personality character. Like, he is amazing.
Fucking crushed it.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush.
He's like a 10 in a movie that's, like a movie that's a 4, he's a 10. Like,
Yeah,
he makes the movie better.
He added like an extra star, maybe
Right.
star and a half.
I
To this.
100% agree. So now that we've in like the first scene when he sits down at the table and he's like, "Your doctor, James Martin attended, whatever school. He knows everything about him. Like, he clearly has done his research." And I like also how like it doesn't phase James either. He's kind of like, "All right, like some psycho who's done his research."
Had time to research this
Right. So like the banter starts off really nice, and I think they do a really good job of kind of that back and forth between the two. And while like right off the bat, he's like, "I'm a demon," and so like as like a viewer, we're like, "Yeah, whatever, this fucking guy, he's nuts." Of
course you're not
which
gonna believe
is
him.
the whole. James has the same thing. James is skeptical.
Exactly. Why wouldn't he be? So, but I loved how you explained it to me. Like, bro, like when he changes from the normal character to the possessed character, like how the camera shifts. And he goes out of the, somebody's, he'll be like, it'll go behind the interview guy. So like, you don't see him, and then it shifts around him. And then it's like, boom. That's when he's like the possessed guy. And like his demeanor changes. Not 100%. He still has some tics that the guy has. But I mean, you can tell the difference between the two for sure.
100%. Yeah. I thought that did a great job of like, Edward Wayne Brady, the man, being like this kind of meek, quiet, like almost submissive character, and the demon being very aggressive and very dominant,
for sure,
personality, which I think was great. So Nefarious, explains to James that he was able to possess Edward because he wasn't baptized and he had committed sins in his childhood, such as stealing. Like that was
it made it easier for him to take possession. That's kind of what
which I thought was kind of cool, a cool idea where he's like, is kind of giving like the playbook of how a demon might, possess a person because they're baptized, they've sinned, like all these things make it easier for us to control you.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was kind of a fun, like,
it makes sense.
It does. So he basically explains that despite, what he initially thinks, he's not trying to escape punishment. He wants
to die.
He wants to die. He wants the body that he's, the host that he's hosting to be executed. And he tells Dr. Martin, and this is kind of like the theme of the movie, I suppose, is that before the day is over, he will have committed 3 murders. And the doctor, of course, Dr. Martin says this is impossible.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like, he sets the whole scene up where he's like, I know who you are. I'm a demon. I possess this man. I don't want to get away from this. I want to die because,
I got other shit to do.
Right. And before the day's over talking to me, you're also going to kill 3 people.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
like at first I was like, holy shit, how is this going to fucking go down?
Yeah,
Like you're in a fucking,
out?
whatever, not an 8x12 room. It was like the cafeteria or something, but like you're in a room in a prison with locks on all these doors. Who is he going to kill?
Yeah. Like, how is this going to play out? Where are we going with this?
So I think like the first scene from the first psychiatrist committing suicide up until like now we got the replacement psychiatrist, and he like I feel like he kind of walks into a buzzsaw.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like from the immediate jump, I'm like, all right, James is at a disadvantage. Nefarious or Edward Wayne Brady, whatever you want to call him, like he has the upper hand here. It seems.
Course. I mean, what no one would expect to walk in here to doing their normal day-to-day job, basically, and it's just like this guy's like, "I'm a fucking demon." You're like, "What?"
Right, but like
you can't prep for that shit.
I mean, you can't, but like, I mean, if you're a psychiatrist, like you're dealing with crazy all the time, or like potentially crazy.
True.
So like, you're like, okay, and I did like how James is like, okay, like didn't almost acknowledge it, and he's like, so tell me, like, explain to me why.
Yeah, he's
and like
doing his job. Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely like shrinking, doing his shrink thing, and like telling him like, hey, like, tell me why. How am I gonna kill people? I'm in this room, like I'm in control. Blah blah blah. I don't believe you, and. We kind of spiral into this. How am I going to explain it? Like this, it's almost like the roles are reversed, where Edward Wayne Brady is almost like the psychiatrist, and he's breaking down.
Yeah, that's
James.
exactly what happens.
It totally is a flip of a role reversal, where Nefarious says, "Hey, Martin, you euthanize your terminally ill mother in order to get your inheritance."
Yeah.
He's like, the doctor, James became really defensive at that point, stating that there's decisions that are made, and he like threatens to end the interview, and he thinks that Edward is I forget what he called it, like dissociative identity behavior or some shit.
Yeah, dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he's whereas Nefarious being an alternate, basically he's schizophrenic. He's schizo.
Yeah.
So. Martin basically wants to speak directly to Edward, but only with like limited access. Like it's this whole breakdown of like, who am I talking to now? And then Edward only giving him certain access to like the different personalities, so to speak.
Yeah, the other personality. Yeah, he gets like very limited.
Right. So Nefarious like will appear around, like he'll allow his like timid, like as I was saying, whenever he becomes Edward Wayne Brady, he's like timid, beaten down, just kind of like he'll communicate like as he allows him to.
Yeah.
But Dr. Martin kind of draws out this role of Nefarious through the various discussions. So at first, Dr. James says that he is an atheist, and so nothing you're saying basically, I don't believe any of it. So how
it can't be true.
So it can't be true. How are you going to hurt me? How are you going to control me? How am I going to kill anybody? But
yeah, because doesn't he say possess me? Why don't you then possess me or something like that? Yeah.
invite me in.
Invite me in, which I think I thought they were going to run with that later on in the movie from doing that, because that's basically him opening the door. Mm-hmm. And all he's got to do is walk through. But they didn't. But I thought maybe they would have when he was doing that. Right.
So like we've already almost gotten like what Nefarious is calling the first death. So like he euthanizing of his euthanasia of his terminally ill mother. So while as someone who believes in euthanasia, I don't necessarily consider that murder.
Yeah.
But
not to get sidetracked, but real quick, did you ever watch Robot Chicken?
Yeah.
You remember the one where it's like the kids, like they get the board game, they're like euthanasia.
I don't remember that one.
So they're fucking like they're playing a board game about how they're fucking euthanizing their pets.
Jesus, that sounds like Robot Chicken.
Yeah, but that's my go-to whenever I hear that word. Sorry,
it's a Post Malone song. I was like, I heard a song called anyway, but yeah. Is George about to score here?
Yeah, they're close. They're knocking on the door. 3rd and 9 though. Fuck.
Good.
Sorry, folks.
Good. Excellent. So we've kind of got like this idea of like one murder happening in his eyes, and so he explains that he's an atheist, and so Martin says that Edward has this like nutso belief system, and says that basically he resolves to certify that the prisoner to be unfit to be executed for the murders, and as he's leaving, Nefarious begins to talk about his James's troubled relationship with his girlfriend or fiance.
I don't think they actually ever really said. I think it's girlfriend.
Right. So he says, "Oh, she's like pregnant, and she, at this very moment, she's at like an abortion clinic."
Right.
And so he's like, you can leave here and go call her. And he like basically explains that the practice of abortion is like this ancient pagan children's sacrifices that used to happen back in the day when they used to claim like all hell is rejoicing like once you killed this baby. Right. So
Hooray.
so he explains to him like, hey, you killed your terminally ill mother. Don't you also have a girlfriend who's at a fucking clinic right now?
Yep.
You know, you can reach. He's like kind of taunts him. He's like, you can reach her. You know, you can call. You can stop this.
You can stop this.
And then he runs to the payphone, and only to find out that she's already in recovery.
Because like he doesn't he like he had a message from her.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think he tried to call her, couldn't reach her, but then like somehow does the old school like call yourself to get your voicemail shit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that crap.
Mm-hmm.
Better call home and get my messages.
Right. And so is this the point where he's like that's 2, or is that at the end when he's like that's 3? He's kind of taunting him through this whole thing of like how many murders he's committed.
But like it's I don't think it's like he comes back and he's like that's 2. Like that definitely doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's alluded to later on, like once the third thing happens.
I think it's the third, yeah, because basically he comes back to further.
We're pretty much led to believe that's the second one.
Right, and then he comes back to evaluate Edward, and then that's when he has a conversation with like the demonic personality, who continues to basically question Dr. Martin and his prognosis, and he starts speaking to him in Latin, like which I think like. Listen, if a motherfucker ever starts like busting out Latin to me, like I'm out.
Yeah, like flawlessly, like I'll be like, oh shit.
Like tells me a demon and he's like starts spouting out. Yeah, he starts telling the doctor that he wants him to serve as the author to like an already written
book,
like handbook on satanic ritual and all this shit. So
all
it
right.
got real weird.
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, this book's called was it the Dark Gospel?
I think so, yeah. Look, right a little on the nose, right?
Right, and like he offers, he's like, you can have everything you want from the master. He calls him the master,
I love
right?
that, yeah.
And like, he was offered to like basically a carpenter in biblical times, which was Jesus. So
he
he's
offered
like,
it to him.
he declined it, obviously, which is how he became like the, enemy of
them, yeah.
Satan, exactly. And so he says that he chose Dr. Martin to take his work and basically mislead all of God's people and the human race. So he says that he knew that Dr. Martin since he was a child, and when the doctor got called away by the warden, it's revealed that a scrapbook of Martin's life was found in his cell.
Yeah, because they shake it down because they're just checking one last check, I guess, of his cell. And
right, but he's like does the whole thing where he's like, how could he have known all this? Like, he had all this information. How could he have gotten it? And then they find the manuscript for...
Yeah, right. Weren't there, like, pictures of him as a kid? And
yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking weird.
Right. So it's like, you're starting, like, as the viewer, you're starting to wonder, like, okay, how could this be real? Kind of like...
Yeah, because throughout this movie, like, even watching it, you're also like fucking James. You're like, is this guy actually possessed? Or is he just kind of like pulling the rug out and he's crazy? Like, you don't really know at the same time he is, But then, yeah, they start dropping these little breadcrumbs for you. And it's just like, oh, shit. Okay, so here we go.
Right. It's almost like starts to become more and more real as the whole thing goes on. And...
Miss a field goal. God damn it. Oh no, it was 6-3 at halftime. Sorry.
Yeah. We're watching football here in the background. Yeah. But basically, after they find the scrapbook of Martin's life and the manuscript, they try to it seems that Dr. Martin is like the next victim, they feel like. So they're kind of worried about like the interviews taking
too long.
Like exactly, and then like continuing. So they confront Edward about what they found. Nefarious, kind of split personality. He dislocates his finger.
Yeah, so he can slide his hand out.
Slides his hand and starts to strangle Edward at the table, threatening to kill him unless he begs for his life.
Is it? Wait, who's James? Who's Edward?
James is the James is the psychiatrist. Edward is Nefarious.
Okay, my bad.
But he says beg. Remember, he's like beg for your life, and he's like, I don't want to die. Yeah. And so he lets him go, and the guards basically beat the shit out of him. And then, remember, he pops up on the table real fast, and he signs the paper saying that he's fit to
kill.
And as soon as he does that, that's when he goes, and that's three, James.
Yeah, that was a killer line.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, it was his mom, his unborn child, and now him.
The body he's taken over.
Exactly. So I was like, dude, this guy is crushing it, like, this whole time. And, you know, like, whenever he did, like, there was a whole lot of, like, banter between the two of them, and I kind of glazed over it just because I didn't want to get into the whole.
There's too much to discuss about it.
It got too political because remember he's like, we're not evil, James. He's like, let's talk about what's going on in this world. And he's like, people like blowing up buildings and doing this and like all the evil things that happen and cheating on their spouses and all this shit. And I'm like,
evil stuff.
It's basically I felt like they were trying too hard to kind of push an agenda of like what's evil in the world today. I was like, if you just would have left it alone and been like, I'm just evil for the sake of being evil.
Because it's cool.
And and I'm just inhabiting this body to make him do bad shit.
Yeah.
Which I did, and now I'm gonna fucking peace out when they fry his ass.
Yeah. On to the next one.
I would have just been like, that's almost much more terrifying. Like, there is no reason I'm doing this. It's
what I do.
I feel like it's on Step Brothers. It's like, hey, we're here to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
like I don't need to like
bring the next meat puppet along.
Exactly. So basically there's three: his mother, his unborn child, and the prisoner. So leading up to the execution, Edward starts to like plead for his life and state that the murders were not his own actions. And honestly, I thought that Sean Patrick Flannery did an amazing job. Like the scene where he was like, what do you want for your final meal? And he's like, cheeseburger with a chocolate shake.
And all that stuff.
And then Nefarious was like,
took control when the guard came back.
And was like, actually, I don't want it. Cancel that order. And then when he didn't get it, he's like, I wanted my cheeseburger.
I felt so bad.
That was awful.
Because
I was
at that
like,
point,
man,
you're like, if he is possessed, this poor schlup.
like this man, get the man a fucking cheeseburger. God damn.
Like he took that away from him. I was like, man, that is fucked.
Which is like also like, I'm like, oh, it's par for the course. Like a fucking demon being an asshole.
Right?
Like
yoink.
Like that was fucking cold. I will say that was like the saddest fucking like non-cheeseburger in cinema history.
Yeah, right.
So kind of leading up to like when he's sitting in the electric chair, Nefarious takes control of Edward and asks Martin if he accepts the offer that they made in exchange for like publishing the gospel, the devil's gospel or the dark gospel. Martin, remember he said no.
Like, no.
Nope, he's not going to do it. So basically you see like a pretty prolonged death by execution.
It was like, damn, all right. It was his faces of death.
It's pretty gnarly. Like he was like foaming and everything. And then,
well, they hit him up like twice. Right?
Yeah, they lit him up, and then like Nefarious takes the chance to speak to the doctor, stating that he should have been there to take in the offer at the end.
Yeah,
which was that was cool. Like basically he left the body of Edward Wayne Brady, and then possessed Martin at that point, and then Martin pulls the gun from like one of the guards and like starts like freaking out, and then puts it to his head, pulls the trigger, click, 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 click.
Well, no, I think he only did it once.
I thought he did it 3 times. I thought
they only did it once because it turns out because the gun misfired.
Right.
Because it had bullets. It was loaded.
Yeah.
But it misfired, which, that's Satan sitting in his office in hell being like, all right, misfire, cue,
unleash
3,
the crows.
2, 1. Not on my watch. Man.
Right. So, and that's kind of how we come to like the end of the Edward Wayne Brady, and it kind of fast forwards to a year or so later. Yeah, there's like Martin is on a TV show promoting this book he wrote called A Nefarious Plot, which is the name of the original book this is based on.
Dope. That's cool.
And he explains that he calls it a warning against reality of like these demon forces that are attempting to like tempt all the people.
Yeah, it's like he took his book but then like flipped the script a little bit.
Right. And he like talks about how he didn't believe and he was an atheist, and he explained that he experienced a miracle when the gun misfired, had been attempted 3 times.
Okay. All right.
While he was possessed, and it didn't work, but then they shot it at the forensics like firing range, and it fired perfectly.
Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah.
So he's basically saying that he's like agnostic now. He's not atheist, he's agnostic. So And when he leaves the studio, there's a homeless woman who is kind of by the dumpster or something, and asks Dr. Martin if he missed her.
Well, yeah, doesn't he like he walks over to her because he's gonna give her like a couple bucks or whatever.
Right, because now she's possessed by Nefarious. But like,
which I was like, yo, okay.
so and then like I guess I read a thing that said in the post credits audio, there's a voice where you can hear in Latin him saying, "You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting, but you are stupid that you do not understand. It is to be continued."
Yeah.
I thought that the ending, like, I thought the part with, like, the woman wasn't really needed. Like,
yeah, well,
wasn't it kind of understood that, like,
he
was going to possess somebody else? Right.
Anyways. But, I mean, it's a nice little callback to let Martin know, like, hey, like, I'm back, you know, kind of thing.
The juice is loose.
Yeah, the juice is loose, honey.
Babs.
Yeah, but I mean, I do get what you're saying. Like, it wouldn't have hurt the movie if they didn't even put it in.
Right. Like, I feel like it's like, okay, he executed the body. The demon got what he wanted, and now it's free to possess someone else. It possessed him. He didn't kill himself.
It just kind of like jumped. It like jumped from
right.
body.
But also made him, like, he got his wish, and the manuscript got published.
Yeah.
In a way.
But,
so, like, why? I guess I feel like, why is he still tormenting this poor guy?
Why not? But then again, if they didn't have it, how would you end the movie with it being like, oh shit, kind of thing? Like, because they can't just like have him, you know, be on that show doing the interview, and then it's like movie's over. Kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of flat ending. So I guess like, I mean, I kind of felt like maybe they did need to do that just to have something, that last fucking thing at the end of a movie.
I feel like he should have. It should have been something like. It should have said, like, "Did you miss me, James?" And then he could have been like, "Excuse me," and then she'd be like, "Do you have some change?"
That would have been better.
Right?
Yes.
Like almost like he
like
thought
a double take.
Right? Like he excuse me? Like,
Yeah.
like he thought he heard, like he thought that was the demon, but then like she smiled, like just kind of make it almost more creepy. Like, did he hear that? Did he not hear that?
Was
like
that me? Yeah, no, I like that.
I mean, maybe I should fucking write movies.
Right?
I'm a goddamn genius.
All right, let's write the sequel.
So
Nefarious 2, Nefarious Harder.
Nefarious. Oh shit. Yeah. So, you know, this one, like I said earlier, I think this, like, if I had to rate the movie overall, I'd probably give it like a 4.5 because I feel like it was, I mean, it is a slow burn. It's not like, if you're looking for action,
this is not it.
This is not it. But Sean Patrick Flanery was so good in this one that I'll probably bump it up to like maybe like 5.5. Like he gets a 1.5 bump for me because
just because of him. Yeah.
He was so great. Like, so if nothing more than like you were like, hey, you want to see what a masterclass looks like in acting of like being literally two characters in a movie and doing it convincingly
in one room.
Right. Like, watch this shit. Like, he does it sometimes in scene, meaning the camera's on him. He's one character, the camera doesn't pan, and he's another character. And it's fucking believable.
It was so fucking
He had
good.
so many ticks of like just like this ADHD kind of weird, like almost like autistic ticks that were going on. And then you met the real character who was the real person, who was so much more like, just you could tell it was a beaten man too. He was defeated. And so I felt like he did a great job. So like overall, the movie I'd give like I said, probably like a 4, but I'll bump it up to like a 5.5 just because Sean was that good.
I 100% agree. Like, I would say the movie overall is a 4.5, and then I'll give an extra point from his performance, because I don't want to give it a 6 because I feel like that might be too high.
That's too high. It's too high, and
not in a bad way.
No, and I do understand the people that are like, oh, I didn't like I get where you're saying it was like propaganda. Like, if you want to really, really break this down to like the granular level, but if you just go into this like this is a demonic possession style movie, and it has an outstanding lead role or co-lead, if you want to call it that. Yeah. Just go into it with that and just like fucking disconnect from the political climate,
like,
disconnect from what's going on, just like enjoy it for being entertainment.
Yeah, that's what its purpose is.
Exactly. And I mean, I know it's based on a book, and I know you might tell me that the book is propaganda, and if it's propaganda,
the book might be a lot more hardcore with that,
and that's fine. But you know what? The movie I thought was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it enough to like tell David to watch it, and we watched it. And now we're recording an episode as part of our September demonic possession
It
religion
felt right.
horror.
It lined up perfectly. The stars aligned.
So if you don't like it, then you know what? There are a billion other podcasts you can listen to.
Yeah. So
I'd hope you listen here, but if you don't want to, that's fine.
We get it. We understand it.
But-
It's cool.
It's cute. So Nefarious is, where is it streaming? Was it on? Do you remember what it was
It
on?
was Shudder, I believe, right?
Shudder? Okay.
Yeah.
So AMC Plus,
Because
Shudder
I
is
had to
part
watch
of
it
the.
in the bedroom. Because that's the only TV
For some reason.
I can get the fucking app to work.
But yeah, so yeah, check it out. It's on Shudder. It's worth a watch if you are
Yes.
looking for something. Like I said, it's not gory, it's not violent. It's a really
It's
good
just a really
masterclass in like
good
two
movie.
guys being in a room with great dialogue.
Yeah. Check
So-
it out. Check it out.
So yeah, appreciate you guys joining us
Mm-hmm.
again for another evening of talking horror movies.
And nonsense.
and much nonsense. Once again, you can find us on social media. We've got TikTok at Sinister Scripts Podcast,
Yeah. With our daily horror content.
and then we've got Facebook and Instagram at Sinister Scripts.
Not so much daily, but that's okay.
We're much more active on TikTok, so
Yeah,
we're
check
always
us out there.
We're always welcome. We always like hearing comments and people following us on there. So check us out. Hope you liked the episode. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you have movies you want us to watch, reach out.
Yeah, you want us to do an episode on something? Hit us up. We love to find gems that we've never seen before, and even shitty like B horror movies that are fun to watch.
Absolutely.
We love people's input.
We watch it all. So thank you for tuning in. If you love the podcast, thank you so much. If not,
Thank you. Fuck off.
fuck off. Just kidding. We love you all.
Yes.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye now.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.